Time it. Oh wow, that was a quick intro there.
Oh, hey, yeah. I didn't know you were here. What's up?
I was going to start with prayer hands, but I decided not to. I decided against prayer hands tonight. Hello,
I was going to start
everybody.
with Vogue,
You should.
my chicken hat.
Yeah, I like the colors. The chicken, the purple, the orange, and everything else. That's nice.
Thanks. It's this sweatshirt I got from my grandma's like clothing when I went through it years ago,
Yeah.
and it's awesome.
So it
Yeah.
smells
So
like mothballs and really cheap perfume. I
you're
mean,
calling my grandma cheap? Oh, okay.
classic. That's right, classic perfume. Sorry about that.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's how it's going to be tonight.
It
Okay.
is
Good
Feelings
to
Friday,
know.
so that's what I'm kind of feeling tonight.
You know
Um,
what? If you get some aggression out, I guess you can do it here.
that's right.
So,
We'd
hi.
like to,
It's good to see
yeah,
you.
good to see you too. Sorry. Welcome everybody to the show. Thanks for coming out to Cali Cocktail Hour. It is Friday. We have Zack Wheaton. Did I say it right?
Wheaton. Zack
Wheaton.
Wheaton.
I knew it. I was going to ask him how do I pronounce the name, and I failed, but
It's okay.
I'll get it right. Um, hey Lisa, how you doing? Thanks for coming out.
Hi,
And
Lisa.
yeah, so everybody out there, please comment and ask questions, and we're going to talk about what are we talking about today? What's what's the
Um,
subject?
what are we? We're going to talk about. Well, we're kind of pivoting a little bit. We always talk about feelings, about life, but this is sort of the feelings that can get in the way of our creativity. So this is whether you're a creative, like artist, musician, writer, or simply a human who has a creative mind. And I think that's all of us. We're going to talk about how if you want to create something great, whether it's like a goal in your life or maybe it's a project you're working on, if you want that great thing, you have to be willing to also be like shitty in this arena first. Doesn't mean you have to be, but I think a lot of us will put this pressure on ourselves, especially as maybe you're someone who has gotten praise because like you're a really great musician and people are all, oh, you're so wonderful, your music
Thank
is
you.
amazing. Yeah, let's pretend like I'm talking to you. And you get all of this praise and you think, wow, okay, so that's who I am. I am a talented musician. So now I need to make good music. I'm not saying anyone actually has this actual train of thought, but there can be this pressure to keep creating great things, to hold yourself to this standard of previous metrics, like things that you've done as a writer, right? Like I've written things that have gotten shared pretty widely, and then I'll write something that like nobody seems to read. And always, if we're measuring ourselves by outward praise, it's not going to be great. But getting back to this idea that like if I want to open myself up to doing something great, then I have to take the pressure off and allow it to be shitty first. So does that make sense,
Yeah,
Ruben,
I
as a
think so.
topic?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, will attest to that too. Of looking back and thinking you wrote something great, and then you look back, well, maybe, maybe that wasn't the best, right? You're okay with it. I mean, it does hurt sometimes when people don't see your things or read about it. But then also too, you got to give yourself that distance too to do that. I'd like to say hi to Betty. Hola, Betty from Las
Hi,
Vegas.
Betty.
She must be visiting Las Vegas.
Ooh, how
Um,
fun.
yeah, Betty is a wonderful poet too. So
Oh,
we'd like to
nice.
say thank you to Betty for coming out, and thank you to everybody for coming out.
If you're watching, drop us a comment and tell us how you're feeling tonight. Tell us where you're at, whether that's physically or emotionally. And just let us know that you're here. We love to hear from you guys and say hello.
Maybe Betty will drop us some words too in the comment.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
We always welcome that.
So and I think that's like I said, it's a great topic and a great thing for us to talk about. How was your week this week? How did you? What was your survival skill this time?
Are you asking me
Yeah,
right now? Okay. That's
everybody.
that's a good question. I love that question actually. What was your survival skill this week? Like what got you through the week? And I feel like I kind of cheated a little bit because the air got better. So I was outside a lot. Like that for me is just like breathing and literally breathing. So yeah, being outside, going for walks. I connected with a few friends on phone calls, which felt really good. I think we've talked about this, but when things are tough, it's easy to feel kind of isolated and then feel like start isolating. So yeah, being outside and kind of joining into some community definitely helped. I'm feeling much better today than I was last week. But how are
Yeah,
you? How was your week? What was your survival
I'm
skill?
I am good right now. I want to say, look who's here.
Oh my goodness, it's Emily. It is
Eh,
5 a.m. I never remember exactly what part of England Emily's in. I'm such a dumb American who's just like, London's the only place in England.
yeah, and Emily. Well, Emily, if you're listening, of course she's listening. If you're out there, it'd be great. I love playing your stuff on here. If we have like 2 or 3 minutes versions, we can play them all the time, and people love watching um, your
You.
pieces. So I think that would be great. So I have to find the ones that are 2 or 3 minutes because they're really brilliant, and I want to play more of those. I think those would be awesome. Especially,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you're out there, if you're listening,
Emily, if you haven't
yes.
left in the last 30 seconds like my
Yeah,
daddy
yeah.
did.
I would love, some pieces for the show because I think that's great. I think those are really wonderful pieces to, to kind of get ourselves out of the groove. So,
Yeah, Emily is a podcaster for anyone who's not familiar. She's been our guest before and we've played her stuff. And she has a podcast called Why This Film? And in it, she has guests sit down and talk about like, why do you love this film from your childhood? What is it about the film? And we'll go through. Oh my God, my cat is climbing the tapestry.
we knew it. See, there it is. It's live. It is live.
That happens, people. The cat climbs the wall sometimes.
And Concepcion said, "I love that someone here at 5 a.m.
I
Their
know.
time, not mine, huh?"
Yeah, yeah. And oh, Suffolk. Okay, so Emily,
Is
you
that
have to tell us
next?
what you're doing up. Are you still awake or did you already wake up at 5 a.m.? I'm interested. So,
Yeah,
oh, thank you, Betty. Betty said listening to you is relaxing.
that's right.
I hope so. I feel like I can get a little hyper sometimes with you guys. So hopefully that's still relaxing. But
Yes. So, my survival skill for the week, right,
oh, yeah.
was actually after the show we talked about, we got very spiritual about certain things and about dimensions and about people when they leave this earth. And so my friend who passed away that week, it was heavy on my mind. And so the night that, we got off the air with Teresa and, she did some healing technique and some light work. I went to the couch and I kind of fell asleep, and I put my head to the pillow and I heard music, and I heard this very faint, very beautifully haunting music, and I just couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out what it was. In my heart I knew what it was. I just didn't want to, really emote what it was, because it's when you go in kind of that territory, it gets kind of scary sometimes too. But but once you adjust to it, you're fine. So I went downstairs looking for the sound. I went downstairs to this glass, well, I wouldn't say glass window, and put my ear to it, and I could still hear the sound. And what I found was that to me, it was my friend telling me she's going to be okay, because she was very into vintage stuff, records, and all this stuff, and parlor, I would say, parlor music. So,
Okay,
yeah,
parlor. Yeah.
yeah, and to me that kind of got me back into a mode of, I know that she was going to be okay. Kind of that was like her way of telling me that she'll be, she's fine now. So, and
Mm.
that kind of released everything from, from my sadness too, because I had to come up with, with the fact that I was sad about that too. And I had to let it, I just had to let it sit in. So that was my
Yeah.
survival skill this time, was actually just letting it feel and letting it go, and just becoming that moment and feeling that there is another dimension out there that, if you open yourself up to it, you'll be part of it too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. And going through your week after that happened, how did that sort of aid you in the following days? Was it just like a piece that this is
Yeah,
not all there is, or
it was just a piece that, that I knew whatever happened was that she was fine. She was okay. And just letting it go, thinking I could have done something, or, like it was, you know, yeah, just kind of in that perspective too. So it was just wonderful to be able to do that. And, going to miss her, but I know that it's going to be, at least for us who are left here, it's going to be okay. So,
gonna be
yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Like that song we
So,
play on here a lot. I think that's really
yeah.
awesome. And I feel like she brought a lot to our show last week, even just talking about her, which was a gift to all of us.
Yeah. Marlo
So,
says, oh, go ahead.
Well, you always make me read
It's
them, so now
it's
I'm
more
gonna
than one
have
sentence. That's right.
it. Milo said, "What's up, people? Meditation, smudge prayers, being outdoors this week. Grateful." Well, that sounds like a recipe for nourishment, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of another way to think of that is like what is nourishing you? And yeah, those are oh, she woke up specially, set my alarm and stuck to it, probably going back to sleep after.
Perfect.
Do not blame you.
So yeah,
I
it would be good to see what people have done, to survive, and survive is really true. The week,
yeah,
what do they do to heal themselves or distract themselves too, from from what's a different part where we're at now in history. So, Vita says hola, o Vito, hola,
hello.
yes,
We're so glad you guys are here. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, if you want to share what is nourishing you this week, what has been your survival skill. And I agree, it really is survival. I think that it's funny, like my blog and my podcast this week, we're on this topic just because I'm really interested in it when
yeah,
we talk about if you want to be great, be okay with being shitty. But I also tried to like sandwich that all of that content with also, you guys, it's a really hard time. So it's okay to be shitty, like whatever that looks like. If you're making bad art, if you're doing a bunch of heroin, no, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But if you're making just like just getting through the day, that's okay. And I think coming as saying this as someone that just came out of a cycle like that, where I was very cocooned and just like it took everything I had to just take care of my kid. And that's okay. Just being really patient with ourselves. Oh, that is our guest from last week.
yeah.
Teresa, hello, beautiful beings. Love and light right
Today,
back to
yeah.
you.
Teresa, you helped me go to a realm and find peace. So I appreciate that from you too. So that is a beautiful thing, a beautiful gift that you have. Oh, Kip says,
Yeah.
glad you're here too. Awesome. Hey peeps. Hey John, another wonderful artist. So we're in that realm of what we've done. So let's tonight we're
Bring our
going to
guest
take
on.
you. Yes, we're going to take you to Mexico, and I
Oh.
think it's Michoacan where they do a dance, right? Um, what before that we go because this is the top. This is the topic. So
Okay. So Vero said, beyond grateful to open the windows and enjoying a much better air quality. Yes. Such a blessing. The little things that matter,
yeah,
right? Stuff that weeks ago we wouldn't have really thought much of. Like, oh, the sky is blue. Okay. Now it's like, oh my gosh, the sky is blue.
Ashley's
Ashley's
here.
here. I love her picture with little Samaya whenever we get to see it. Hi, Ash. And Concepcion. Is that how I say that? I want to make sure I say your name right. So it took everything I had just to take care of my kid this week too. So great to know I'm not alone. Oh my gosh, you are
Yeah, you're
so not
not,
alone.
and no one is alone out there. We are here for you every Friday. See?
Yeah, we are. And also too, I just want to take a moment and say like the how are you question, it's a snapshot, right? Like we all change day to day, moment to moment. I think that's the human experience. And Ruben, you and I have talked about that question, like how are you? And how we've talked about it and how it can be sort of shallow sometimes because it's like
Yeah.
we can't always get into how we are. But I also think it's so up and down because like, we all have really, really rough days and maybe moments of ecstatic joy. And then, I mean, the hills aren't always this big, but it's a weird time. So yeah. So Emily said, I started writing my screenplay that's been on the back burner for a year. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's the same week we lost a close young family member. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so
Sorry
sorry
about
to
that.
hear that. That's really, that can be so devastating. Loss is always devastating, but especially when it's a young person. And wow, and yeah, how auspicious of timing to have been like kind of freed yourself to do something that you've been talking about. I think we've talked about this, if I remember correctly, on even the show, maybe this screenplay. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I would love to hear Emily, like maybe I'm making you spell it out too much, but did you kind of take that as life is to be lived, like get it out right now? Um, Now is the time kind of message, or maybe that person is somehow aiding you on your creative journey. So if you want to share more, you're welcome to. If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Please share because that's what we're here for. So
Yeah.
John said yes, better air and great and beautiful days for walking. And I've
Mm.
been in a deep depression for a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's great that you tell us that too because that's what we're here for. Hopefully, we're ever to to exchange energies and help out with the um, with anybody out there too.
So it is like I have to force myself to stay focused on my art or do a lot of walking to get the endorphins going.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that really fast because that is such a common feeling. And I'm sure that you love your art. I'm just going to like artists generally love what they create. And as a writer who has been in a depression as well, it has felt terrible to realize I have nothing. Like this is what usually makes me feel better and I have nothing. And recognizing John and anyone else that needs to hear this, that long-term prolonged stress decreases our capacity to like our executive functioning, which is part of our creativity, right? Deep depression, as Concepcion's talking about, it makes us unable to focus. Like that attention span is just gone. Things that normally we enjoy. It sounds so obvious when you're describing what depression is, like, oh, you don't enjoy the things you normally do. But then when you're in it, it feels so confusing. And it can be, I know I can blame myself. Like, what's wrong with me that I'm not even enjoying watching my kid giggle or something that should make me happy? But like Ruben and I always try and remind everybody, you're not alone. And that's a part of, I think, the moment we're in, especially depending on who you are in this moment. Some people are struggling a lot more than others. Ruben, what was that quote where it was like, we're all in the same storm, but we're all in different boats
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that? Remember you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. So Emily said, well, I think you want to read that? That's two sentences.
So Emily said, yes, I thought of you as I sat down to start, felt you like sending thumbs up from across the ocean. Oh my gosh, that brightens me so much. I hope so much to be that for you, Emily, and for anyone who might doubt their capacity to create or put too much pressure on themselves or think it's too late or they're not good enough, or please always have me sitting on your shoulder. That's how I would love to come through in this world. So Vero said the quarantine mental funk is brutal. Yeah, it is. It may have something to offer you. What will you bring with you out of that cave? I know I'd like to see that. I feel like we should have Zach on here. This is a lot of gems.
He's coming. Yeah, he's coming right now. I'm just
So
waiting for my mic. We're not going to go.
Think...
We're not going to go the song. We're going to come right to Zach because we told him. We'll just read these 3 quotes and we'll come in. So.
Yeah. Okay. So Emily said, my uncle was diagnosed with cancer in July. Oh, we lost him on Wednesday. Wow. It's a bizarre feeling of strange, prolonged loss. And he kept talking about all the things he'd do and then never did. And I think it was a kick up the butt. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that those experiences can have really intense effects on us because it's like you get smacked in the face with mortality, our mortality.
Yeah. And Zach, I mean, John was talking about his depression, I think, too.
Yeah. It is a blur and I feel overwhelmed in it. I would sit looking at a piece I'm working on for a moment and lose all the inspiration. Yes, I have battled. Oh my gosh, so relate to that, and always just so grateful for you guys sharing that stuff too, because it helps other people watching that might not even be interacting, but like they're feeling that too, and it's such an important thing to have this community.
And one thing we love about this group is that people, you bring all your emotions here because we do know how to channel it. Just think of it as a coffee filter. We will filter it, and you'll have some great coffee afterwards, right?
Ooh,
it's great energy.
Yeah.
So, on that note.
Yeah.
We told Zach, we're like, we'll give you about 13 minutes. And, I go, sometimes Melissa does talk a lot.
Oh my gosh, it's been 20 minutes. Wow. Yeah, we are terrible hosts. Poor Zach.
Actually, we were talking to Zach about how, we're just going to do the show and we'll forget all about you.
Bring him on.
But maybe it is true. Hey, Zach. How you doing, man?
Yes.
So, see?
Zach.
Hey.
How's it going, Zach?
What if we just pulled him up and it was just blank? He was like, screw these guys.
Well, I saw him leave. I'm like, oh shit, I better bring him up now.
Nope, I've been sitting here this whole time.
No, I know.
I've been wrapped, paying attention.
Oh, thank you for waiting. Yes. We never really know how the vibe is going to go or what's happening with other people. So that's kind of the flavor of the show, is just going with, what emotions we're seeing. And
let me bring up Chris's. So Zach, this is an interactive show, so people, always interact and we try to answer. So, but that's why we have you on too. We talked about the topic but we all have different emotions on how, we create stuff, and sometimes, depression's always in there, or like mental health issues.
Oh yeah.
And I think we all go through that. Anxiety, everything else which is hard to, especially in this time. We don't have people to talk to. We don't have that energy of just saying hi to some strangers right now. I don't want to be a pessimistic. I want to be a realist. So we need to gather our strengths now, because it may get a little bit different now that winter's coming and the flu season and all that stuff. So we have to depend on each other more often than as a community, and as just helping each other out. So Melissa, you want to do that?
So this is Chris. He has been a guest of ours. Hi, Chris. So in preparing for an upcoming podcast, I discovered some cassette tapes from about 30 years ago that dropped me into my inner child. It brought up some emotions, but it was refreshing and has given me something to reflect on all week. Sorry for your loss, Emily. Wow. That's...
Ooh. I came across one of those too.
Did you?
Yeah, my mom gave me a big box full of my old baby pictures and various ephemera of report cards, that sort of thing. And one of them is my dad reading Ricky Tikki Tavi, I think, some sort of bedtime story to me on a cassette tape.
Oh, wow. Actual audio of it.
Yeah, and he's still alive, it's great. I can still hear him read that if I want. But it's a cool thing to hear. I haven't listened to it yet because I'm afraid of how old that tape is and what it'll do to what'll happen inside a tape machine. But
so it's not so much like the emotions; it's more one.
Yeah, no, it's like
feel.
I want to make sure that it doesn't disintegrate inside my old cassette deck up here on my desktop.
Well, that stuff is precious. It definitely takes on this air of, like, I have some VHS tapes and I keep them. I mean, like in the closet, like at a height the cats are never at. It's like you do start to yeah, but speaking of, that's a really interesting topic in and of itself, like things that trigger the inner child, like when you were looking at report cards, or I don't know, maybe art that you made, what kind of stuff did that bring up?
Oh boy. Oh, just like the gamut. I mean, because it was everything, like and just spanned my whole entire childhood, and just trying to like, it was like a jigsaw puzzle of me, which sounds corny, but sort of like throw that out there on like a big floor and put it all out
this
there.
was when I was in fourth grade and I was really into.
Can I ask you a question too? Did you remember everything, or is it just like a feeling too?
I feel like I remembered a lot of it. It was weird to see those, like see old pictures and come like go, oh yeah, no, I remember renting. Yeah. Oh yeah, I need a Spice Kit for sure. But like finding pictures of my birthday party and like, oh yeah, I remember renting the Sega from the Blockbuster in the corner, like up at the corner, and getting the bounce house in the lawn and all that stuff. Like it just like, it was just overwhelming. So it was like,
yeah. I asked you that because I think people have different childhoods, and I think that I blocked a lot of mine out. Like I really do,
Yeah.
But when I see pictures, I'm like, I know the feeling, but I can't tell you exactly what happened, And I think, my dad wasn't a nice guy. It wasn't a good childhood, but I just, I could remember, like things that, not that happened, but more like the feeling of what kind of the emotion of what happened rather than the actual physical thing that happened. So that's why I'm always curious about, does it trigger an emotion or does it trigger like a story? And because we all have those inner stories that will come out at some time, right? Because we're artists and we're people. I shouldn't say we're artists because everybody's an artist in their own nature
in their life. Yeah.
But those
and Chris, I would love to hear what you're doing with those tapes, or even just that inspiration, if it motivated you to tell a story on your podcast or talk to your kids about something. So yeah, it's funny that
we have another real quick.
Oh, Carissa's here. I feel like so many of our regulars are here. It's great to see you guys. So she said that happened to me recently too. I was handed a box of childhood stuff. I was surprised to see how much I had stayed the same, and it also reminded me of all the things I wanted to become. Oh, I love that. When my podcast was focused on more professional careers, like interviewing different professions, I would always start with, what did you want to be when you were little? Like, what did you want to, when adults said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you say? So I'd love to hear that, Carissa. What did you say, or what did you want to become back then? And actually, I'm going to ask you guys that too. When you were kids and an adult was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you say?
Carissa? Yeah.
You say a good boy.
No, I don't want to be.
And you said Carissa. You guys.
I don't want to be Carissa, but I mean, maybe, yeah.
I think I actually got a chance to ask you this, Ruben, because I interviewed you while my podcast was still in that flavor, and I kind of remember what you said.
Yeah. So Zach, you're up.
So you're like, okay.
I'm gonna talk to us.
Let's see. What did I want to be when I don't, I feel like I never was really sure, which is how I just wound up doing a whatever county government job. But I think maybe I always thought I would be just a professional musician at some point, and it's sort of happened sometimes. But mostly it's pizza and experience. But it's all good.
Did you say pizza?
Pizza and experience, because people will pay you in that all the time. Money's hard to come by, but pizza and experience, everybody's got pockets full.
I feel like that's the name of your memoir.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that was good.
But what's funny though, when we talk about this, like success and all this other stuff, when I played in a band, but when I love playing in shows that are out of town, because you got to meet the most interesting people, have the most interesting conversations, and you can't buy that stuff. You can't. Yeah. Those kind of experiences.
It's true. Yeah.
And so when people measure success by like, I did this, I'm like, yeah, but I actually talk to people. like real, you know, I mean, like one-on-one, and you know, and maybe the one, you know, one out of the whole 100 people that came to see play were like, that was pretty cool, but you know, you're never going to win them all over. But I always thought that was a great part of
Oh yeah,
of
I
being,
think it's some of my favorite shows, or some of the worst shows.
yeah, yeah.
Because like not in the moment, but afterwards, you just get to go look back and go, "Whoa,
Yeah.
that was so wild! I love that."
When you say the worst shows, do you mean like the music did not come out right, or like the crowd wasn't there, or like what was worst about them?
I mean, all of it.
The pizza was bad.
The pizza was bad. You know, the drive down is terrible. Like we played this terrible show in LA in like a black box theater, and the sound guy was a dick the entire time.
Why is the sound guy most of the times just
is he always a dick?
Yeah,
because he's got the faders. Yeah. He's got the faders, and he was on his iPad too, walking around with controlling the sound, like walking around like a real high, you know, like a real big
power trip.
Yeah, no, they have the power. They can,
they literally have the power.
Yeah, they can make you sound like shit. You know,
yeah, it was good. It was, I mean, but afterwards, it was just like, no, that whole weekend was fun, and it was just
the memories.
It's cool. Yeah, and I don't know when we get to do that again, but
yeah, and now you know. Yeah, it's appreciated more now too. I'm like, I missed that dick sound man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to say that word myself, but I'm going to tonight because it's a sound man. No kidding.
I think that's a really good point. That so often we are living experience, and then we'll look back and be like, wow, that's kind of the good old days right now. You know, insert this crazy road trip, or like, you know, that shitty show, and in the moment it just feels like, why? I think it kind of speaks to what we were talking about last week, which is that everything is sacred because everything is impermanent, and it feels very permanent. Like, oh, of course we're talking to Zach and Ruben. Of course I'm wearing a chicken hat. Of course, you know, this is the people that join our show this week. I have to note really fast. I love that you just drank from a little like juice pouch.
Oh yeah. Sidebar. We had a smash burger for dinner, and
nice.
Because we were lazy, we had it delivered, and
we have
they got. I didn't want to fill up because they have like, you know, these big burgers with bacon and all this kind of heaviness on top. So
wait, aren't you vegetarian?
No.
We don't do that. We don't do that to our guests.
We don't usually, but
no. I go.
That's a gotcha. That's Melissa's gotcha question. Can I go back real quick to when we talked about your, you know, opening that box, because I think some people were commenting about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
No, I just because it is true. Like, you know, like having a full visual of your childhood, and one that is muddled by, you know, different conflicts and different, you know, how your brain shuts off for survival. Because I think there's a couple of people here that we talked about this before too. And what did you want to be, right? What did you? When Melissa and I talked about it, I'm like, I just wanted to survive. I wanted to make it through. You know, I mean, I'm here now, and I'm sure I always transport myself back to where I was by closing my eyes and going, you know, you made it, right? So, but I wanted to go because we talked to John, and John said, you know, I can totally relate to that, and his emotion, it was being in fear. It was because I think that it was survival mode. You know, it was something that I'm like, you know, I think I talked to Melissa a little bit about this, where I had to shut down different parts of my emotion to make sure people knew that I wasn't hurt or they couldn't hurt me. You know, and this is mentally, not physically. So there was boundaries that I had to build within my head, and actually stories I had to build, because that's what I think we're becoming an artist, right? With all that pain, and you know that you know, I don't see it anymore, but I can write about it. You know, I can actually paint a painting if I wanted to. What my you know, I battled with God, right? I'm like, well, if there was God, why would you put a kid through this, right? All this stuff, and I think a lot of us go through different things, right? And but people, like I said, people have, when Melissa asked that question, a lot of people have different, you know, like what they wanted to be. So, sorry, I think it was. Oh, Carissa wanted to be a war correspondent.
Whoa.
Right?
Oh,
Yeah.
damn. When you were a kid, Carissa, my chicken hat is off.
War.
And Ashley said, I recently discovered old voicemails and text messages from my dad. Oh my gosh, I know what that is like.
Ooh.
I want to try to re-record them to keep them forever. His last text said, time to get up, get off the couch, get your work done, and go for a walk. Oh, he knew me well. That's really beautiful. And also, again, auspicious. It's like this last sort of directive, like, hey, Ash, you got this. Just get your butt up. I think that.
And I think those, people, we talked about people who leave something with us, right? And you always find a little nugget here and there. Like Zach said, I don't want to play that cassette, right? Because I want to keep it intact forever.
Right.
Right. And there's a reason for that in the back of our heads. It's like there's a reason for that. So it's just beautiful to hear like everybody's story, so to speak. Chris wanted to be a test pilot.
Oh, astronaut.
Oh, astronaut, yeah.
See.
You're right, Teresa. Someone was just I was just reading about this, the new moon. Remember, we are transitioning into a new moon, and that interferes with our vibration. Thank you for reminding us and anyone who might be feeling weird or different.
So Emily
Emily wanted to be everything. Gardener, Monday, ballerina, Tuesday, actor, gymnast, writer, actor mainly because I thought it'd let me do 100 different horse riding, travel, sword fighting, etc. I feel like too, everything is sacred because nothing is permanent. Please get it tattooed on your forehead, but get it backwards so that only you can read it in the mirror, and everyone will be like,
I think eyebrows is the way to go.
Or she could do this.
Start from the right and go.
And then if you shave them, they're clear. But going back to that, like that idea that we wanted to be everything, and for one, everything was within reach. I know that not everyone had a childhood like that. So it is, Ruben, when I did your podcast, I remember being both humbled and grateful that you brought that honesty, because it's easy as a kid that had a parent who was just like supportive and you can be anything, be like, oh, everyone had these big dreams. So holding space for that too many kids do just want to survive and make it. And that like ability to think that like so big and that nothing is off limits. And honestly, the whimsical part of me still believes that for all of us. Like I'm a big fan of paradox, that we can be just like super mediocre and it's okay to be ordinary and you don't have to be in a history book. Fuck that capitalist pressure that was put on us as kids. And also we are infinitely capable. And if you want to be a gardener and a ballerina, maybe you can garden while wearing like ballet shoes, Emily. Just an idea. You can do it all. Like it's all within our fingertips. Zach, can I get a little bump? Because that was so funny. What I just
said. There you go. See,
Thank you.
You want to read? You want to read this one? I think it's a two-parter.
Yeah. Okay. So Concepcion said, "I'm thinking there is depression, and then there is depression. Is 19
COVID-19?
Like COVID.
Oh, okay. I see. I thought like we were talking about the year.
It's a new lingo the kids are using these days.
Oh, I'm so not in on that, but that totally makes sense, because it does come crashing down harder, doesn't it? And the art looks back at you confused or in wonder, because it's only happening to those that create. So I am weirdly comforted that someone else feels that too, and I have to make sense of it. I'm also happy I can just pour a glass of some libation and enjoy a Friday night in the middle of all of this. A lovely woman in a chicken hat. Yes, and a cat. There's a cat on my shirt. And a sweet being in dark feathers. And a wonderful electric drum set player. And I think that creatives in general are wired to be like very sensitive. Often that's like where art comes from. And I'm always bringing us back to that, like, I think anyone who's in touch with their creativity, which whether that means you actually create like art or simply weren't we talking to someone who's a landscaper? I remember that being their art. Like that's what I create is beautiful yards.
Yes.
Yeah, that's me this weekend.
What'd you say? It's you this weekend?
That's me this weekend. Yeah, we just got a bunch of mulch and stuff, so we're about to finally get rid of some of these weeds.
That's total art. And I guess I'm saying I think that for one, COVID-19, I think has given a lot of us a long-term stressor that maybe for you, it's not like you can't do your art. Maybe you just can't seem to pick up the phone and call a friend. Like I was finding that as an issue. And
I like it. It's your new band.
Yeah, landscaping and drumming.
Landscaping and drumming, pizza, and experience.
That's right.
Well, I should say the lovely Tenley will be doing most of the work. Unfortunately, I have pretty bad carpal tunnel in my right hand, so I try not to do a ton of that stuff. I help out in other ways.
So the secret is out.
Emotional support.
Yeah, the secret is out.
So you're multi-passionate, Emily. It's funny. I'm still pursuing this multi-hyphen lifestyle, refusing to settle, for anything less than my dreams. Even though it seems impossible, doesn't look quote unquote normal and confuses everyone. I'm sorry, but that's like my favorite kind of person. I think that's why Emily and I are such a good fit for each other because I'm like, yeah, be abnormal. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing it. But it's funny, Zach's partner, Tenley, lent me a book that got me like on fire for all of the bullshit that we're fed growing up that wires us to put these expectations on ourselves to basically be good workers for a capitalist society that doesn't give a fuck about us and pays us terribly. That aside, I think there's so much like normalcy that doesn't actually fit us as people. And what am I trying to say here? I love multi-passionate people. I love too, speaking to Zach, who I love that you were talking about, you didn't really have like a specific vocation you wanted to be. You wanted to be a musician and you are a musician. Like that's...
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the only thing is I don't get to do it 24/7 like I want to. That's,
It's not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
It's coming. Yeah. We have this thing that we do here on Cali Cocktail Hour, like 3 weeks from now, you're like, I'm on tour. Oh, I can't be on tour. But
you're going to go viral. You know that guy who was drinking the cranberry juice on his skateboard? That's because of us. We got him famous.
Yeah, he was here.
He was here.
Like, he was the only guy I was following on TikTok for a while. So yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was really funny. We should actually get that clip and play it some week. But yeah, I guess speaking to, I mean, we're both being realistic. Obviously, our childhood dreams might have been, I want to be an actress and I want to pay my bills like that. I want to win an Oscar. And a lot of times childhood dreams are very grandiose because why not? That's like the examples we see are those people who are doing those things. And I guess to me, that's creativity is figuring out how to keep it in your life, fit it into your life, to do those things with the demands of a real world, maybe you have a child or a mortgage or like one of those boring adult things, insert one of those here. But, to make it all kind of work together. What do you think, Ruben?
What?
I can tell you weren't listening, so I'm just going to call you out.
I'm thinking that landscaping and drumming is awesome. An awesome name for a band, number one.
Landscaping.
No, I do think that, like I said, creating and creativity. It's. I think, like, I would love to hear what people out there have to say too about, the reasons why. I know I get anxious. I start creating stuff. I'm like, I need to refocus my brain on something that I have control over. And I don't know, I'm not a control freak, but sometimes you just, like, especially with COVID, you have no control over anything. I was talking to someone about that today. You're basically, and I think that's what a lot of people are coming to terms with, that usually they're in control of their life. They work, they come home, they do blah, 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 all this stuff. But right now you don't do that. And there's something bigger than all of us that has, no control. You don't even know what 3 months away is going to happen, or at least another month. And I was telling this guy who's a lawyer, and I said, he's like, I don't want to be a downer. I'm like, no, you have to be a realist too. right? It's not being a downer. You got to have to prepare for what's going to happen, right? But you also have to have that hope that it'll eventually will go away. It will. I mean, I don't want to sound like Trump, so that don't quote me on that part.
It'll be gone by Easter.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, I drank the bleach today, so. But you know what I mean, like, but it's one thing is that we have lost control of our lives, right? In a big, just in a cosmic way, right? We don't know what's going to happen, and I think that's kind of part of the depression because we don't really have that. So when I go and do art, I have a minimal control of something, and that kind of helps me. Like, I'm going to finish this piece, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to no one's going to tell me what to do, and that kind of helps me just in meditation wise. Like, sometimes I like meditating, sometimes I think meditating is irritating to me, and because I'm like, I can't stop what I'm thinking. I try, and this is it's like chasing my tail. The little dogs that you pinch their tail and they roll around. That's me. So but creating art and doing something, it's taking something that's kind of negative and making in something that you're and turning it into something positive. That's kind of how right now part of my survival tool is part of that too right now. I don't know if that was the question that you asked, but I think that's
I asked you what your favorite kind of food was, but that was a great answer. Just kidding. No, that was great. And oh my God, I swear my cats will not stop vomiting tonight. There's another one vomiting right
Perfect.
now.
Oh no.
That's another good name for a band, Vomit Cat.
Okay, so Emily said, oh my God, coming to terms with the lack of control lately has been so hard. The hardest part was defining it and understanding it, that's the problem. I was Googling the Spanish flu really creatively. I was actually watching something on the Black Death, which I don't know if this is the same path Emily was going down with that comment, but yeah, I think that Ruben, you just kind of nailed it as far as like the art is something we have control of. And for humans in general, not being in control is difficult, but especially if that's something that has been a coping skill for you, where you have managed your schedule and maybe, you knew what time you left for work and you knew like the amount of money you were going to make because this is the way the restaurant works. Or like all of us are facing so much uncertainty. So yeah.
I think this is the
end of it. So obviously they also had a war on back then, but not only did it brought in almost a new age of creativity. Silent actors came into their own. Animation became a thing. Art was fresh and exciting. Ooh, that's kind of neat. Yeah. I think that's actually really cool. That wasn't where I thought you were going. And I love that recognition because I think that's taking perspective, is zooming out and saying, yeah, we don't have control. We don't know when this will end. We don't know what it'll look like. And life goes on. Life finds a way for Ian Malcolm.
And I think that a lot of people are adapting. There is, one saying that was saying that I always hold true is, no longer how long the drought is going to be, the rain will come, right? So it may be a long time. It may be going through a lot of stuff, but eventually the rain will come, and we will be back into a normal Earth cycle, right? And I think that's what we're realizing, that who really has the power in this time is Mother Earth.
It's the sound guy. It's the guy holding the
computer. Don't Mother Earth holding an iPad with
do not bring. Don't bring. Zach and I are going to go through some post-traumatic syndrome if you keep doing the sound guy thing. I knew it could have sounded better. I knew it. All you had to do was roll off the highs. That's all. So, anyways.
And there are very good soundmen out there too. I don't want to say that they're all bad. They're very, very good soundmen, and I love them.
They're all
and
bad.
They know who they are. They know who they are. I love them.
So Chris says control is an illusion. Learn to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chris, don't let that cat out of the bag. I'm in control, Chris.
Everything's an illusion. So that's
That's so true. I think that's been the hardest thing about this.
Yeah, but the thing is. The illusion, but the truth is that people are, losing control of their own life, right now. So, yes, it's thought about that, but people are just not used to not having schedules, right? We're used to having
Yeah.
dictated by society what we're supposed to be doing. And now that we're opened, right? We're basically opening ourselves up. You know, I told Melissa, I'm like today, I'm like, well, actually, I'm healthier than I was 6 months ago. You know, I'm healthier in mentally what I was 6 months ago, even though I had to go through all this stuff and scared and, you know, like everybody else. But, you know, I also am mindful of the people that are going through more pain than I am, mindful of the people that are suffering more than I am. I've had a lot of people, friends, and not just friends, but like esoterically, like the whole society, the whole world that is suffering. And I bring that in my heart. And, you know, all I can do is wish, you know, bring it in, try to filter it myself, just to know. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, put in because someone's suffering more that, you know, I should suffer more too. But I really am mindful of like what everybody else is going through without saying like, oh, I feel great, I'm doing great. You know, that's why I never really say that, because I you know, I just don't want to sound like an ass.
Yeah. Well, and I'm working every day, and still like you know, not much has changed. I just see maybe less people on the road, but and that's, and it's, yeah. It's so, yeah, I don't go, it was a great day, I worked 8 hours and, you know,
Yeah.
got to do all that stuff and got to go out and see people and breathe the sunshine, you know, and all that stuff. So yeah, I try not to.
Well, I'm always I love Mother Earth.
She's come up with 2 great things today.
I know. I like this. You're like our hype commenter. I think too, I just want to speak to the lack of control, because I think Chris's point is correct. I think as a coach, I'm always talking about this, and mostly because it's something I struggle with too, is that control is an illusion. We don't know what's going to happen. Life is impermanent. All of us are fragile. That is horrifying in some ways. And so as humans, we have these systems in place to deal with that fact. Some of them aren't healthy, like avoidance, right? We like to talk about real things on this show and talk about death and talk about loss. But some of them are really healthy. They're things like church, right? For people who go, or recovery for a sober person like me, or just like having friends over for dinner, like community, school, consistent, you know, work. Yes, you could lose your job at any moment, but I think recognizing that control is an illusion. This cat is and our ways of surfing that wave, like, are snatched. And so I just think that speaks a little bit to the challenge that as we reopen, it's like things still aren't normal. And, you know, I haven't shared a house with anyone since February or March or whatever. I mean, that's a quality problem, but it's like, I don't know.
I just, like I said, I just think that when we get into that mode of saying it's like karma, right? Karma, okay, karma. Well, what about the kid starving over here? What did they do in their past life? I'm just careful what I say about words and what I do a broad term about things, that I'm not overstepping my boundary of people that are suffering more than I am. That's
Wait, I'm confused. Are you speaking to what we're
just about control as an illusion? You know, I get that in an esoteric term, but I don't see it as you have to be at a certain enlightenment point in order to understand that part. Some people aren't. That's why I don't really. It's just like I said, just like karma. I used to believe in karma. I used to be all this stuff, and then people, you know, then I got looked into other people that were suffering, and like, it's like me, right? I lost 3 mothers in this lifetime, and I was like, if I believe in karma, what did I do in my past life to do, you know, to achieve this thing, right? And so I kind of look back on stuff that people that teach and stuff like that about careful about generalizing about things, that even though they sound great, I just think that sometimes when we say these things, we're kind of, I don't want to say elitist thoughts, but I really try to see what the grounding of everything is too. And that's why that's the only thing I mean about control, you know, and about control about everything else and what people still believe in right now. And a lot of people are losing it, and you know, and it might be an illusion, but it's not for them. It may be for us, because we know, but it's not for them, and that's where they're suffering right now too. That's kind of how I feel about that.
I
Yeah.
respect that viewpoint. I don't share it. And I also can recognize that my perspective can be different than yours sometimes, Ruben. That's the beauty of live action role playing, like
Yeah.
LARPing.
Yeah. I'm all what? No,
I think just because of the work I do, like I end up like that's part of thought work is helping people. I don't know. I don't want to get into the like suffering is not pie. We can recognize suffering and also have our own suffering. I think we're talking about two different things, but I can't appreciate how the way we talk about things can be alienating. So if that's happening out there, I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't.
No, that's me. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. Not
Like you worry that we could be sounding elitist by saying something like that.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like, and I'm talking like when we talk about karma and all this stuff too. Like like
when were we talking about karma?
I did.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, I didn't talk about karma.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's my justification. I'm like I don't. Yeah, I always look about how I talk, right? I always look about what I say, and I think people who are empathic will do that. Like you will, will always, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I think there's not a lot of people, a lot of people that will go back to their conversations. And even when we have with just a normal conversation, it's hard to admit that we sometimes say things that we don't want to say, or maybe they took it the wrong way. But that's
and we've totally done that on the show before, where we've like talked about something and then found out later it came off differently. And well,
text
in the
is always weird for tone too. I find you never really get a good feel for what. Well, sometimes you get a good feel for what's being said if you know the person you're texting with, but like sometimes a text is just like.
You know what?
Yeah.
Because Melissa and I talked about that today.
Ruben literally just said that exact thing today.
And what's funny is that you're a sound person too. Like you're we talk about tones and and different way people talk.
It's like a period is just like a dead like and you just kind of go whoa. It really sort of
yeah.
So it's just
like. So Ruben, were you saying that because of like the kind of artist or creator he is, you can understand how?
I think that because he's a sound person, like he's making noise, he's making music, that you listen to very tones of people's
word
voices.
Jazz, man.
Yeah. And
I do and as a drummer I do tend to look at punctuation as sheet music and kind of when to burst in with like a exclamation point or like a question where you just sort of leave it up in the air.
Well,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I was talking like I'm not a good texter. I can't. It doesn't come out when I write something. It just doesn't come out that way. I have to listen to someone's voice. I have to emote to myself, because then I'm always apologizing. I don't think that sounded great. Thank you. Yeah, I am. I'm like, shit. I sound like a jerk. Right. And so I'm always looking at the way I communicate with people. That's just my thing, I'm always like, okay.
It's cool. I mean, I mean, really, it's you. It's not good or bad. But I am interested in communication in general, because there's what we mean to say, and then there's how people take it, and then there's somewhere in the middle. And we live in this age of like post-truth era, everyone saying different things. But yeah. So okay, Emily said, I really hope all this brings a new respect for Mother Earth. I'm finding myself wanting to be more attuned with nature, etc. Yeah. Same here. And Cherie said, as an observer, we're moving out of the third dimension into the fifth dimension. And in doing so, some of the chaos and anxiety is the frequency of the third dimension. And as we move into the fifth dimension, we will be raising our polyfrequency. So when you look at some of your, I'm assuming there's another piece of this.
Drum roll.
Perfect. That was exactly how she finished it. So Carissa said it's tricky maintaining perspective that people are experiencing deep suffering, yet it doesn't change the fact that each of us experiences pain, and that pain is very real to us. Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't know. I didn't mean to even get into that. So Ruben's going to have to talk on that. So sorry, sound typo, will be raising our collective frequency and moving into a higher, I'm guessing dimension, higher state, higher space.
Or plane.
Have you
Oh, that was probably what it was. Because it was higher.
And moving into a higher plane of frequencies, it does fuck with you. Like, I remember learning with the elder about how sometimes your body shifts and you kind of have like this really weird reaction because your body is lifting to another frequency, right? You want to call it enlightenment, you want to call anything you want to call it, and it does happen. I think that right now with society the way it is, and we losing control of what we thought we had control of, right? Going back to the illusion of everything, that people are starting to think about different things nowadays. So, and I know that because I, did some stuff and had things happen. We'll go to
stuff.
I don't want to. Yeah. That's just another. I don't want to get to it.
I think we're talking about mushrooms right now.
Well, we are, but but that's kind of like a different realm too. And I think as a society, like what Carissa said about. Let me see real quick. Let me see about. Well, we talked about in tuning ourselves with the earth and what's happening, and obviously she's going through a bunch of pain, right? And so we are subject to that overpopulation, climate change and everything else. And from what I've learned, that sometimes the earth puts off these viruses to. I remember the American Indians would call it we're the fleas of the earth, and sometimes she will put out these things to kind of get us back into the balance of everything, and to show who's actually the boss of this whole thing. All right, we think we're the boss, but we're not the boss. So but that's a whole different. I think that's what Sharice and I used to talk about all the time when we're when I used to live
on mushrooms.
And yes, and various other Google. So
yeah, no, this is an interesting conversation. I feel like we're in like a couple different directions, and
we are.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's how we roll, and I like it. So cool, man.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Zach, it's nice having you on here too. Sometimes, like I said, we go. I've had a lot of thoughts in my head, so that's why I veer from that to that, and I think always growing up in a place where I had to have maintain the balance of my life, and having to, obviously it's a childhood thing when you grow up in a shitty situation environment, right? You always have a feeling of something's going to turn, right? You always have a feeling that how can I make this not turn the way it's going to turn, and that's why you grow up with this
state of high alert.
Yeah, high alert, right? Anxiety, high alert, and I think that's what I've gone through a lot too, and that's why I'm always, no matter what, I don't think I'll ever shake it. I can control it, but if I hear that I say something that sounds, anything remotely like to being like I am minimizing someone's other pain, which I don't even know who they are, then I'll come back and try to fix it, So, and I do that on all the time, right? I'm like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to talk to you, but yeah, so that's kind of how I deal with things, right?
I mean, really, that's kind of the basis of our show is to validate the small suffering of others, and also recognize there's like large, almost incomprehensible suffering, and that it's all valid, and it's not like it's not on a spectrum, but I don't know that ultimately I remember hearing someone say like the worst suffering is yours, like point, end of story, period. And that can feel shitty, but I mean, just bringing up, like, I think we all know people who have like killed themselves that didn't necessarily have the like incomprehensible suffering that we could see, but I think maybe that's where I'm going with this. I think it's really important that we all allow ourselves suffering, even if it seems stupid, even if it's small. And I think I'm probably speaking out of turn because I don't think this is not what you're saying, Ruben.
No, I think that's
we should minimize suffering. And
no, I think that's perfect. I really do. I don't think that there is, I used to be a person like, they're rich, how can they suffer? They have all this money, right? And I'm like, no, they are human beings too. I mean, they may think different. Well, People with lots of money, they do. I mean, you have a different mentality. Like my brother is a high up in Merrill Lynch or Fidelity, and he's a business person and has a different way of thinking, right? As opposed to me. I was always the hippie of the family. I don't know if you have Mexican hippies, but and he was always and but everybody has their own suffering at some level, right? Because a lot of people are covering themselves with buying things and materialistic things to keep them thinking they're going to be okay, and then in the end, we all have the same human sufferings, I should say, whether it's
yeah.
So here's a big one.
So Ashley said, feeling control and being in control is very complicated because sometimes we do not have control of our situation or what is happening to us. We can try to change our situation and make things better, but it's very different for so many people. I understand what you may have been talking about, Ruben. I think she's speaking to you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But I do agree with that sentiment that there's this feeling of being in control and then the actuality of being in control.
Yeah, so. And I think you're right. I think little suffering, right, happens too. And little things that, you mean, that's why I try not to minimize what people, I am judgmental sometimes. So, yeah. No, but I'm saying like I do judge people, and I really try to stop myself from doing that. Like, no, they can suffer too, or they're having this thing too, so.
Oh yeah, I find myself doing that in traffic all the time. I'm just like some guy on a bicycle rides past me. Oh, that guy sucks. Or like, but what's he? Maybe he's off to something important that he's got.
Like a bicycle tournament.
Yeah, maybe he's got to go do the Tour de France.
Maybe it's Armstrong.
Yeah.
Maybe he only has one ball.
Maybe he's a sound man going to.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe he's on his way to ruin a gig.
Thank you for holding the space. I needed tonight for all of it. I have to go, but it was a good Friday night. Oh, thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome to have you. Had a few drinks with you. That's better than drinking alone. Although I also have to stand up for drinking alone too. Somebody has to. Thank you. Good night, Concepcion. Thank you for joining us and drinking alone with others.
Chris, you're always with us, Chris. What are you talking about?
You're always with us.
Yes, us. S-U-S, us.
Us.
Yeah.
So I love that we were like, oh, what should our topic be tonight? And then it's like the topic just goes wherever it wants to go. Like that's the cool thing about the show is it just meanders like a stream that's like, oh, where should I land?
That's right. And then we're landing with the cat right now.
I know.
Oh yeah.
So like once again, I like to thank you, Zach, for coming out tonight, and we would like to thank everybody out there who comes to Cali Cocktail Hour to listen to us talk about things and
shares your perspective. We're so grateful for that. That's my favorite part.
And that is the best part. And if you're here just for one thing, just to hear that you are loved and we love you, and that's from us to you, we love you very much out there. And you're not alone. You're not drinking alone. You're not having thoughts that are alone. And always reach out to us because that's really what the show is about. And and we appreciate you coming out, Zach, and not knowing what you're getting yourself into.
No, thank you for having me. No, it's been a wonderful evening, and honestly, I couldn't have thought of a better way to do it.
Yeah. And that's kind of the fun thing too. Is this show gives us a chance to like just hang out with people that we know and get to know them better and hear stories we wouldn't have heard. And I do have a series of
oh shoot.
Somebody's asking for a drum solo.
Let's see.
Were we gonna play a clip of his Halloween show?
Yeah, I gotta find it first.
Okay, well we don't have to do that right this second.
Yeah.
We are gonna play some Zack music, so don't leave until you hear this guy. Also, we have a link tree that we'll post at some point.
Oh, sorry, and I'm a little bit behind on that. There you go.
That's okay. There it is. Oh, nice. Oh. So if you want to follow Zack Wheaton and his music, his ideas, his cool drum solos, then
my daily sanitizing videos, I'm trying to do those every day. This week's been kind of tricky with work, but I try to do it towards the end of my work day. I try to do a little bit of a sanitizer. It's been almost a ritual, you could say.
Really?
Kind of just like around 4:30, I just kind of do a little hand sanitizer And
you do it on camera?
Yeah, do it on camera, do a quick wave, and then I'm up.
Where do you put these? These are on your link tree?
They show up. I put them in my Instagram stories. So they're usually there for a day and then they're gone. I have a couple up on my TikTok.
I saw those. I did see those. I was like, I saw those. I was like, those
fascinated with the medium, and just sort of the video editing within it is really wild. And so,
with TikTok?
With TikTok, yeah. And I don't understand a lot of it, but what I do understand, I like. So, yeah. So that's that little guy scrolling down there. That's where all my stuff is. There's all kinds
I'll have to head to that.
stuff.
I haven't been able to log into Instagram. My personal Instagram I've been locked out of for a week. So I'm missing your sanitizing videos.
Yeah, it's good. I've tried to do, because I have like at the end of the day, I'm usually in a big empty like packet room where we make these little informational packets and stuff. I'm usually alone in this room, and it's a nice big sort of background behind me, and I can kind of spin around in my chair and do stuff in slow motion. And yeah, it's yeah, and it's I don't know, it was something fun to do, and
I liked them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, does he really? I mean, I was like, would he get mad if I played these videos for him? I'm like,
no,
but
not at all.
I didn't know what the backstory was. I'm like, no, you're not supposed to show those.
No, absolutely, it's all great. I love, yeah.
So,
thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for getting up so early. We'll still be here a couple more minutes for anybody who is sticking around, but
yeah, we are. And what we're gonna do is go to. Can you explain a little bit about this video? It is Halloween. It's The Verge, right?
Yeah, this is a show that happens. It's happened at a few different locations around Sacramento, but it's been going on for a bunch of years. And I got into it maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And it's the Sac Halloween Show. And it's not actually on Halloween. It's usually like the weekend. It's like the day before Easter or something. Like it just kind of. And it's cover bands doing 12-minute sets, and the cover bands are all based around a theme. And so for the 2018 theme, it was for bands with numbers and letters, like CCR, like abbreviations. So like CCR, having that on the radio all the time, with my dad and grandpa, all that good stuff. Just sort of CCR has always been, it's not like my favorite band, but it's definitely a good touchstone. And the
I want to know.
Yeah, Melissa was singing earlier, so yes.
And when we had our guitar player, like we had initially formed this band, my buddy Charlie is back there playing drums, and the guy to the right of me on screen is Tom, and Tom is an excellent electronics repair wizard. If you need anything repaired, look up Tom Weeks on Instagram. Free plug. Sorry, Tom.
Plug him up.
Yeah, he's great. He fixes amps, he fixes guitars, he fixes stereos, tabletop console, like anything you've got that's electronic. He's great. And so when we formed this band, we had a different guy playing guitar, and he dropped out. We tried to couple people out. It didn't work out. And then we got towards the end, and we're like, well, we've got like a month. I think my dad knows these songs fairly well. I'll just ask him if he wants to do it. And he's tried to do it in the past before with other he's tried to call bands in the past, but there's a process for calling a band. It's really kind of, you have to be quick with the computer, not all of us are. It's okay. But yeah, he was into it. And so
which one are you in there?
I am right next to C3PO there.
Okay, right here.
He's with the long dark hair, right? Like the kind of shoulder length dark wig.
I have the long dark hair. Front. I'm front man.
You're the okay. Because I was like, where is Zach? I was like, really? I mean, I was seriously. That's what I was telling you earlier. I'm like, where the fuck is Zach at? I was like, I don't know where he is. I don't know what I should play. I don't know. That's why I asked you today. I'm like, I don't know if that's him in the background or because Melissa sent that to me, and I was like, okay.
Like, what's this?
But Melissa was there, right?
I was, I was
so
in the audience.
That's probably a bit of a handicap there, but yeah, that's me in front. I'm John Fogerty for this. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Well, let's hear it. Let's do it. Do you remember what song you're playing in the very beginning?
Ooh, no, I don't. But
perfect. Then we're going there. We're going there together. And how was the sound man, by the way?
Sound man was awesome. It was Drew.
Perfect.
Drew rules.
Oh yeah, Drew's cool guy. Yeah,
Drew and Charles are bright. You guys are great.
So,
Ted. Love you, Ted Angel.
So after all that, we found the good soundmen. So
yes, they're there.
And women too. There's women out there too. So.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
The women are nicer though. Okay, let's do it.
Oh, so he was announcing. I was like, I don't remember him in your band.
We'll listen to one song on here.
Can you hear it? It's Born on the Bayou. There we go.
Can you hear it pretty good?
Yep. I love this. I get to look at my dad now. I never really get to see his face when he did this.
I don't know if I knew it was his. Family probably told me it was his dad. But that is so cool. You should have won that weight tonight.
I know. I love it.
I don't know what happened to that wig. It's somewhere around here, but. Thank you.
I love it.
So awesome.
It's actually his guitar that I'm playing too, so that's even better.
Your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad's guitar. That's his other guitar. So
Nice.
I think this is where somebody started throwing underwear at you guys.
That was me.
I love it. That was the night I first met your dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I've only met him a handful of times since. Let me just say, as an aside, Zach has some of the coolest parents ever. Like, I love your mom. I always tell Tenley, his partner, that
there's always one. Sorry, there's always one.
I know,
Carissa, really?
Somebody's yelling Freebird. Get her out of here. She's drunk. But seriously, can you play Freebird? Anyway, he has awesome parents. They're super fun. His mom does things like, I've only met her a handful of times, and she's just always been so sweet. She sent me like a card when Tilly was born, a handmade card. This is really just me trying to get to your parents. So
that's all that was. She's like, Ruben, just.
This is like an intervention. Yeah, only the point is that I can talk about your parents. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, please.
They're awesome.
You're right. Yeah. I don't know. What can you say? But, yeah.
Now we have another request. Stairway to
Heaven.
Ivana. I like
There's a lady who's sure.
I did a video of this and I annoyed my friend Charlie who played drums in that clip because I've screwed it up because I don't really know how to play Stairway to Heaven, and so I would just screw it up and just.
I love it. I think I hear that.
Yeah, like I really don't know how to play guitar.
Dude,
like,
that was awesome. He's like, I don't even know.
We talked
I
about
think you're still like caving to these requests though.
yeah, and we talked about your Steely Band project. What was that?
Oh,
about?
Really?
yeah. Yeah,
David?
so my partner Tenley and I got to talking, and we got to.
You got a fan for that Stairway to Heaven song already.
Oh well, thank you.
Thank Flora.
By the way, it's nice to see you, Flora. Flora was our most engaged commenter last week. It's great to see her again. So hi.
Hi. Oh yeah, so Squealy Dance. So we were remarking about how we liked. We had both been shuffling, and we remarked on how much we liked Crass, and we really hadn't. It's not really a band a lot of people think about. Probably not a lot of not a band like anybody really thinks about unless they're a crust punk or something. And
do you know Crass, Ruben?
I've listened to him a long time ago, but it was well ago.
Yeah.
Why are you putting me on the spot?
Yeah.
I'm just like mellow, man. I'm just like not.
I'm
even
trying
there.
to do that a lot tonight. I'm a Ruben.
I know you're. I was like, I know you're not listening. I'm like, okay, well, you told me. I'm waiting for Zach's parents to come on.
It's because I actually don't know that band. I'm like wanting to know who they are, but I think that you were starting to describe.
Okay. Well, Crass is basically a. I guess they're more of like a collective. They're kind of British anarchists. They had like lived out on the farm, definite they're like punk rock, like for real. And it was just a song where the chorus was like, the chorus is basically, do they owe us a living? Of course they fucking do. Damn it. And and
they were like the really like, ooh, so British, since Emily's here.
Of course they fucking do. Yeah. So and
Emily, are you out there? Emily would tell you. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And so we just wanted to do that song, and we can tell by the way I play guitar, it's questionable. I'm not really like a riff guy. I'm more of like a power chords and move them around kind of guy. And so that's what we did. We made a couple songs in that vein. I don't know if they'll see the light of day, but Tenley's doing vocals.
Is she?
Yeah.
Well, if you feel like sending them our way, we will totally play that stuff. Right, Ruben?
Pippies. I don't know.
I think Ruben paid a
Flora. Pippies. When I ate mushrooms one time, I ate so many mushrooms that I was watching the news, and they became, people talk about the reptilians, right? There's another conspiracy theory. They became reptilians. The newscasters.
Reptilians?
Yes,
like shapeshifters?
No.
David Icke.
That's a whole different story. That's a whole different show. The reptilians, yeah. I didn't want to bring that in too, but once you talk about the mushrooms, yes, that was my reptilian stage. That was back in the day when they had this thing called radio, and yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I remember the radio.
The radio, yes. You turn the knobs, yeah. But yeah. So that was during that time, yes. So I thought I could eat a lot of these things. Apparently you can't. You shouldn't. I mean, yes. Or you just, what they say, tripping balls? Yes, that was me.
How do you say trip balls?
Como se dice bolas, huevos, gone?
I believe it's the same in every language.
I think Emily is referring back to a chef kiss. Was that I love it. So anybody out there, Emily, and like I said, you're really welcome. If you could make some cool stuff, well, any stuff that you make is cool, for 2-minute, 3-minute pieces, and we would love to play them here. Especially that what we loved was the trivia stuff. Yeah. Yes, I love the trivia stuff because it was like it threw me off enough to where I'm like, what? That's all. Sorry, that sounds very Californian. Like what?
Like
bro,
what?
I was like, bro, Emily, that's hella cool.
Well, let's go start.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, anyways.
You know what I love about this show is like we have traveled the gamut of like topics. Like now we're on to mushrooms and what's up? Let's trip balls. Whereas we started.
That was reptilians. Yes. It was Art Bell. Art Bell did a show about
Oh, yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Oh, I love Art Bell.
Yeah, I know. So he was big on the reptilians and aliens and abductions and all that stuff. So and one time, you know, I got into it, and then one time someone gave me some mushrooms, and I'm like, give me more. Give me more.
Give me more.
Give me more. Yes. And then it was. And then the TV turned into a 3-dimensional object, and it was like, yeah, see, Chris knows, coast to coast. That was it. Coast to coast.
Was that Art Bell's show?
Yeah. It was on a ham radio. What?
Was that actually a ham?
You know, I'm vegan, okay?
Yeah.
I've never listened to that.
It was not kosher.
Okay, before we let Zach go, we have to ask him our rapid fire question.
Yes.
Okay, because we're getting to our hour and a half. We don't want to.
Shoot.
Wow.
Rapid fire.
It was the best trip ever. So just to put that in there.
Best
and again,
trip
yeah.
ever.
And, you know, before we do this too, we'd like to thank everybody for coming out. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate Zach for coming out. These are the gotcha questions. So if you are sweating, you just need to tell me, because Melissa is
I'm a fireball.
Yeah.
I'm basically Savannah Guthrie, and I'm going to not let you read a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And see, Emily is going to give us some content too. So that's awesome.
Oh.
You know, but yes. I mean,
Thank
and that
you,
way you
Emily.
can come. You can be on the show without having to wake up at 5 a.m. too.
Yeah, you can watch the replay.
Because
after
people
you've awoken.
really enjoyed your stuff, Emily. Then that's why I appreciate that too. So
Yes, we do.
We have a French word, I think.
Au revoir. So Carissa's leaving. Bye, Carissa.
Oh.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
Of
And
course.
Carissa, also before you go, Carissa, you sounded great in your interview. She had her first interview out on Latino Center page, where she's doing these artisanal Mexican traditional dances, and people that you'll see on the stage, but you never get to talk to them, never get to see why they do their dance. And I think the first one was a family of she was a maestra dancer. And so it's really beautiful if you ever have a chance to see it. But Carissa did a great job. Sorry.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I'll have to check one of those out. I saw one of Carissa's interviews it was maybe like a month ago. But
Yeah.
how do we find her? Is it the Latino Center page?
Yeah, maybe I'll share it on my page. Maybe I can get a clip next time and have them give me a clip and we can play it on there too. So
Awesome.
So everybody else, we love you. Like I said, we always love
Thank you for joining us. Okay,
sorry,
I'm just going to ask a couple of these questions before we
Here we
get to
go.
10:30.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Zach, are you ready?
My body is ready. All right, let's do
Sweat,
this.
Zach.
My body's saying no. All right. So, a concert you'll never forget.
Concert I'll never forget. Ooh, okay. There's two that happened at the state fair that are just funny. If you want a serious one, I have serious ones. I have funny ones. They're all great.
I want to hear the state fair shows. That sounds great.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So there's two of the state fair shows. The first one was seeing Blues Traveler, and sort of not knowing that Blues Traveler had turned into a jam band. I was unaware of that. Like I love the Dead. Like I'm usually in for that stuff, but harmonica is not quite my jam. And I was kind of hoping they would just play Hook really quick and then, do whatever they wanted to do afterwards. And
That's the song that we all know.
Right.
The
Hook is, or
hit
not
song?
Hook. The hit song is, it is Hook, right? No, Runaround's the hit song.
Oh, Run Around.
Hook's the slow one. Hook's the one at the end of Kingpin, that movie Kingpin with the.
Okay. So they didn't. They were different than you expected.
Yeah, they were different than I was expected, and I always remember that. But John Popper is actually, he's kind of funny in this show called Z-Rock, I think it's called. I forget. It's on IFC. It's like about a band where they're a metal band, but they also play children's parties on the weekend. And he's like a bad guy in that. So, shout out to John Popper, but
I like it. I like it.
Like
okay. You said there were two. What was the other?
And then the other one was Smash Mouth, just because we sat around and waited for All Star to come on, and it was the best because it was one of those things where you're in a not like you have this now where you're shoulder to shoulder with people under a tent, no masks, and everybody's screaming, "Somebody!" And yeah, and that was awesome.
I can see that actually being really cool.
And I mean, you can say what you want about Smash Mouth, but it was still.
Can I do a one-upper on that one?
Of course.
I know. We opened up for Smash Mouth when they went at a pizza parlor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it before or after they were big?
Oh, of course after. Definitely after. Like, we need to play pizza parlor. That was
Pizza experience.
That was in Santa Rosa, yeah. So
that's so cool.
They're nice, yeah.
Did you meet Fred Durst? Oh wait, that's Limp Bizkit. Sorry, I get them.
You just ruined my story. You just downgraded my story into.
I was trying to one up your story because you one up Zach, and we're all one up.
I didn't look. If I would have said that, that would have been a one up, or without saying that. So a part of me may have this dance, right? I'm not just gonna dance with Zach right now without asking him first.
May I one up you? May I tell you why I'm better than you?
Perhaps, sir, may I please tell the story real quick, right?
You guys are both better than me. And let me just say, I'm really grateful to be in your presence. So
Smash Mouth, Carissa.
And then I guess a serious concert that I remember though, and it was a good serious local concert. I went and saw the Deftones at the parking lot of Tower Records on Watt. And we got there early enough. We rode our bikes, and we got there early enough that we could stand up front. And somebody asked us to move over a little bit to let some people through. We're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And it was the guitar player's mom and a few other family members of his. And it was just to like be there and share that energy with them. And that band rules. And their bass player's gone, and I'm a man.
Well, you know what, Zach? This is what I did last. I'm not going to one up you. I'm really not. This is not trying to one up you, but I did do one for. I did do one for Chi though. Yeah.
Aww.
Chi was the most beautiful person you've ever met. Really, he's a really just spiritual person. Really, just a wonderful guy. So, and a good friend.
Awesome to hear.
Yeah. So,
that's
but
cool.
You're
that
right.
sounds like an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a serious.
I love it. Yeah, we need all of it. All of it is welcome.
Yeah.
All of them are memorable. Okay, moving on. Something you're deeply grateful for right now. Go.
Water.
Water. Okay, what does? No, never mind. Can't tell that joke.
Chris doesn't know what the bands are. Water is not a band, I don't think. But H2O is an album by Hall & Oates.
Fred Durst.
With guest special Fred Durst, that's right.
Yes. I love how, I don't know if you saw Chris's comment. She's like, wow, Melissa, not all white people look alike.
Actually, they actually do. And I could, you know what? And when I was in New Hampshire, right? I was with my girlfriend, Melissa, and her brother-in-law and her sister walked off. We're at a festival in New Hampshire, and they walked off, and I'm like, I'll go find them. And I went to go find them, and I got freaking lost. I didn't know who they were. I'm like, she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, all white people look alike. Oh my God. Yeah, I get it. And they did. They all had the same style. They all I was like, oh my God, all the East Coasters look alike. And she started busting up. I'm like, now I get it. I finally get it. So yes. Yeah. So they do.
Yeah, no, 100%. They do.
I'm
offended. That was a weird thing. I had somebody send me a screenshot of an ad that they had gotten on their Facebook feed, and it was for Capital One, and the guy in the back seat, he was like the guy in the back seat of an Uber handing his Capital One card off, and looked just like me, and it was creepy.
Whoa.
And I tried to look it up and was like, nope, but that's also a good movie, but with Jake Gyllenhaal. Enemy. Look that up.
Your evil twin is out there, and he's an actor in Capital One commercial.
He's a I don't know. What do you call that? A still model? Because he's
okay, yeah, like a still life portrait sitter. No. Yeah. Like he's in print ads. I think, is that what you're saying?
Sure. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he's got 100,000 followers on TikTok.
Oh, he's so lucky. He sanitizes like 10 times a day. It's just because it's content. Right.
I want that creator fund, folks. Follow me there, please.
Manifest it.
Yes.
If anyone watching could just send Zach money for washing his hands, that would be great.
That's
So
right.
let's, okay, moving on to
I
the next question.
Although I do have a hand obsession. That's a weird one.
What is it?
Washing the hands.
Zach just puts his hands up. It's washing your hands?
It's like the foot fetish, yes. But it's actually a washing hand fetish now that COVID is like, yeah.
So are you saying you're addicted? You're addicted to Zach's video?
I'm into it. Yeah, that's what I was watching. I'm like, is this wrong? Me liking this?
No. Hey.
Yeah.
What if Melissa's like, you have to stop. It's coming between us. You won't stop watching these videos.
Right. I'm on fuck cat videos. I'm
gonna move it. Yeah, I'll move it to OnlyFans once it gets to a certain level.
There you go. See.
Oh my god, that is a great idea. It's like just it's like an OCD OnlyFans. All right, moving on. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Well, it's just funny that we talked about this earlier, but it's a Jim Jarmusch movie, and it's called The Limit of Control.
Oh, I've never heard of that movie. Is it one I just haven't heard of, or is it not super mainstream?
It's not super mainstream. Jim Jarmusch is like an indie film guy. He's like, if you've ever seen Coffee and Cigarettes, is like one of his better movies, or one of his. I mean, they're all pretty great, but he does a lot of stuff with Bill Murray, and it's kind of like that kind of thing. But this movie is totally different. It's kind of like, it's very meditative in its pace. It's not a high-packed paced action thing, but there's a lot of great cameos. Like Tilda Swinton's in it. There's all kinds of good and it's the music in it's great. It's just one of my favorite movies. I don't know what it is about that movie, but I can sit and watch it just at any point in time.
Those are the best. Then that's why it's your favorite.
Yeah.
No.
And Big Lebowski.
For some reason, I thought you might say that. I think I might have known that before.
I may or may not abide. Yeah.
Okay. So next question. Last TV show you binged and loved?
Woo. Last TV show I binged and loved. Well, that would have to be, since we're doing it right now, Schitt's Creek. Because we just forgot about season 6, and it's been sitting on the dock for a while.
Nice.
It's time to hop back in. So we didn't realize there were 14 episodes. So we're not quite binging yet on season 6, but we're getting there. But the show Raised by Wolves is another one that I started to binge. I need to get back on. It's a little bleak, so I kind of backed off for a bit, but it's a sci-fi show on HBO Max. Ridley Scott directed the first episode or 2, and then he's like an executive producer on it, and it rules.
Yeah, nice.
Like androids moving embryos to Kepler 22, which is like a satellite planet, I guess, or something like that. After Earth is taken over by religious zealots. Anyway, it's I
love it. I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm there.
It's great.
Love it. Okay, next question. What is the last dream that you remember having?
Whew. Boy, that's a good one, because dreams are hard to come by these days, it seems like.
And it could just be, you know what? It could be a dream you had years ago. I think sometimes it's just like maybe just a dream that you remember. It could be one you had when you were a kid. It could be one you had last night.
I don't know. I don't really dream anymore. It's sad, but it's just sort of.
I think that's actually a signal of deep sleep. I think dreaming actually indicates you're not, if I remember correctly, not in REM, so it's not necessarily bad.
Oh, well.
That's a great band, by the way, too.
Yeah, REM.
It is.
Yeah, REM and Steppy, right?
Sleep's a great band.
We'll go to the next question. What is a book that you think everyone should read?
A book everyone should read. Well, now that's a good one. Because
you're like, do I have to read it first?
I feel like everybody should read. Actually, I just finished Barabbas not long ago, and I thought that was really great. And I had never really delved, despite being raised Catholic, Roman Catholic most of my life, and sort of abandoning it later. I never really thought much about Jesus and him and his whole
Barabbas. So that's what it's about. Interesting.
And Barabbas is there's debates on whether or not he was a real person or whether he was sort of the surly guy that he was in this book. But
Jesus?
No, Barabbas.
Oh,
it's a whole thing. But I
was like, we might be on delicate ground here.
Yeah, that's a different show. That's the late night show. Oh, sorry. I'm actually thinking about what Emily wrote. That's a late night show.
What did Emily write? There's a UK show called Raised by Wolves. I thought you were talking about that one. I was like, oh wow, left field. It's about a journalist when she was younger. I'm fine. No, and discovering restoration.
Well, Zach, you're sensitive, right? It's a late night show.
It. Yeah. Gosh, can I just say the UK has some weird shows? Like when I was there years ago, they're good, but they're weird. Yeah. Like some shows that don't make it over here. Like Emily, have you ever seen that show? This is literally what it was. Is I turn on the TV in the hotel I was staying at, and I literally just see a penis. Like there's a penis on TV. It's like public television or whatever. And it turns out that there's a girl choosing a date just looking at penises. So you don't see the guy's body. You just see penises. And that was like the first thing I saw. And I forgot what the show was called, but that would never air here, even though Americans are a shit show. It was just so interesting to be like,
I wish Cha-Cha Whispers was here so he can answer that question for you if it's a good show.
I feel like he would like that show.
Yeah. Not judging, I just have a feeling.
I liked it. It was fun just to let's go to the next question, all right? So
Emily, see what you do? Yeah.
You throw me off.
Yeah.
So Zach, what is your favorite smell and why? And don't say butts.
And don't say penis either, because that's
I'm sorry, smell or sound? What was his favorite?
Your favorite smell.
Oh, there's another band, Sound and Smell. I love it.
Sound and smell.
Write it down. Notation. Another note.
Favorite.
Okay, favorite smell.
Favorite smell. Well, favorite smell. These are good questions, and I'm sorry that they're rapid fire and I'm failing here.
Oh, it's
sorry.
Actually answer them right.
Emily just wrote. She said that's how we date over here in the UK. So.
It's a screen like this, but it's just penis.
Roberta said that's So do you swipe anywhere? Is it a swipe?
Yeah. Ooh.
a swipe up or down then?
I'm sorry, Zach. We're like blasphemy. That's not the word I was looking for. We're bastardizing your answers.
No, that's fine.
We're actually giving you a little more time to.
Yeah, I know, and I appreciate you. I'm trying to remember.
What was the question?
Smell. Favorite smell?
Yeah.
Favorite smell. There's something about just like a really old truck on the road. That kind of whiff of gasoline and like a carburetor. Something. I mean, it's a weird smell, but that's kind of like you don't get that smell a lot, and especially with electric cars, which is great, and we need them, and the whole reason the planet is dying, or not the whole reason, but a good chunk of it is these old trucks. But
so you would love them to spray a smelling spray.
Yeah, maybe. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Like an air freshener, you take a big poop and you just get to spray old truck.
Yeah, and it just smells like it's like somebody who just got done like working on a 4-barrel. Yeah.
Can I ask? Does that like remind you of something positive? Yeah. Have an association with that smell?
No, that's just really a smell I love. But I mean, like my grandpa did work on. He had an old Dodge that he worked on. That
Interesting.
In his little place in Stockton, and I don't think I ever got to hear the engine fire up on that, so that was more of a tactile thing. But yeah, inside an old car, yeah, that's awesome too. Like that.
Old car smell.
The auto museum is definitely like a big guilty pleasure for me because you kind of.
Well, that's interesting that you bring that up because it did react, like Roberta, right? The old car smell. And then Charisse, her grandfather, and maybe it is and maybe that's what it is too, right?
Yeah,
because smells are like, I mean, they're smelly sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right?
the deepest thing I've ever heard you say. You know,
I
guys,
left
smells
it there
are
for
smell.
you. No, but they do bring, associations with everything else. Like that's one of our best senses is, smell. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, especially by driving I used to drive my grandpa's truck after he passed. My grandpa didn't have any use for a 2001 tiny little Chevy truck or whatever, but like just farting in the seat is just it was like, oh, this is exactly just like the old days. Like that was great. I love that.
And what's perfect because Chris has bacon, which
Yeah,
gives you
always
gas
bacon.
sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, there was definitely that too.
Yeah, aromatherapy. Yeah, aromatherapy is going to trigger.
Sorry. I'm still on farting in the seat. Like that just adds to the robustness of this smell for you. It's not just the old carb, it's also the ability to fart and like mix the
a little bit of AC, breakfast,
little bit of indigestion.
So now
he can't hear it, so like he doesn't know that it's happened. So yeah.
So omen farts is what that's your favorite smell.
Best.
That's what I got. So we just psychoanalyzed what your real smell was, and that was the smell of an old man farting.
Yeah, this is a Rorschach test where we just analyze by what you say, and now we know a lot about you.
But it is interesting to find out like what those kind of those kind of smells trigger though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I have ones too. With I smelled the other day. I smelled pickled jalapenos, and I was telling this person, I said, yeah, when I was in Mexico when I was a kid, we'd go and get bolillos that were fresh bolillos, and they would cut it for us, and they would put these pickled jalapenos in there and onions and carrots. That was a pickled thing they had, and they would just eat it like that. But every time I smell it, I go back to when I was a kid in Mexico. That too. So that's I love it. Yeah. So, but farts, that's a different story. Sometimes I don't want to go back there.
Yeah, it really depends. It really depends on the day.
And depends is a perfect analogy and a pun.
We are on a roll. Call us butter, baby. We're on a roll.
So let me. Oh, you have one more?
No, I'm done. That was amazing.
No. I just have to say. So I just got a text from my friend, and my heart goes out to her family because her brother passed away. I'm not gonna say her name from COVID-19. So 8:50 he passed away, and I've been monitoring with her brother, and I know that she's hurting, and I know that it brings up a lot of different emotions for everybody. So my heart goes out to you and your family for that too.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyways,
so sorry for her loss. Is she watching right now? Or?
No, but I no.
I assume she's not.
Yeah. No, she's. But I've been going that with her too. So things become real too sometimes too, and we have to. We're gonna move into this position. But anyways,
the heaviness and the impermanence and the levity, and maybe we're mixing it all together.
Yes.
And like always, and that is life, right? It's like silly and funny and also fragile and impermanent.
And you're right. It's everything, and we have to keep our, go straight forward with everything too. And just understand that life is fragile, right? And we're not guaranteed anything, and we're here in this moment in time, and that's what we're guaranteed, this moment in time. So, and I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you coming on, Zach, especially not knowing what you're coming into.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being open and just game and willing, and we really appreciate you coming and joining us, especially because this was like more off the wall than our average show as far as where all we went, and you just were like on board. So thank you for that, and thank you everybody who joined us through via comments and energy.
And we will take a moment right now, just a short moment for all those who have passed, and especially right now because we are living in history. We're living a time, and it will pass, but right now we're in it and we're deep in it. So to all those out there, I will be quiet. Thank you. So, and Zach, once again, thanks for enduring us.
No,
and
what a delight.
Yeah, it's funny because like I said, it's Melissa's right about everything she said in the beginning. We don't know where we're gonna go, right? You don't know what we're gonna do. Sometimes, it's fun, even though it's serious. It's fun, even though it's not serious. It's fun talking about farts.
The sound and the smell.
Yes.
The agony and the
it's and it is like one thing coming up now is the Day of the Dead's coming, and Dia de los Muertos is coming, and where we honor our ancestors, all those people who have taught us so much in our lives, right? And so this time we have a lot to think about because there's a lot of people who have passed more than usual at this time. People that we don't know. We just know that their families are, suffering everything else too. So our heart goes out to everybody. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And Melissa, thank you for I want to play that the Golden Girls one. Thank you for being my friend.
Thank you for being
I knew she'd sing it. So, anyway, yeah, and I appreciate everybody. I love everybody, and I really do. I really appreciate everybody in my life, and I appreciate everybody that has ever walked through my life, even if we had a disagreement and we ended it in a bad note. You came through my life, and we all shared something, and hopefully we learned something from each other. So, yeah. And we're waiting for the cats to come.
Salem is laying very peacefully. He does not want to get up. So.
Yeah, and my cats have ran away. They're like, oh, finally, everybody's the dog's in bed. We can finally have the free reign of the house. Go wherever we want. So
they're just howling at the new moon.
See?
Yay! Thank you for being a friend. Everyone for joining us. We're so happy to share this time with you and be able to joke and talk about serious stuff and the fun stuff, and go have a peaceful night wherever it is you're at, however you're feeling. Get some rest. And
thank you, Zach.
Yeah. Thank you.
Much love. Yeah, much love to everybody, and we really appreciate it. We really appreciate you just rolled with the punches.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, where there were punches, they were actually rolled with the hugs. How's that?
Yeah.
You did.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll end it too with the song. And have a good night. And we're gonna go, and we'll see you next Friday. Melissa, what do you have next Friday?
We're not gonna be here next Friday, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're going out
Friday.
of town.
Yeah. So you might be here, but I won't be here.
To Melissa, have a great Friday, a great time. Happy birthday. We'll dance out and leave.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
Thank you, Zach. This is a different dance in Mexico.
This is cool.
So have a good night, everybody.
I'm gonna go, you guys. Bye.
Good night, Zach.
Good night.